Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. I might not leave if y'all keep this up. I just might just stick around for a little longer. That was awesome. Thank you so much. What a blessing. And thank you for the introduction. Carolina boys have to stick together. God bless you. You know, we are blessed to be in a place honoring Ronald Reagan. I think to myself, I love the truth of Ephesians 3:20, that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or imagine. In unbelievable and yet unexplainable ways, the truth of that scripture often plays out through the lives of seemingly ordinary men and women who respond to the inner call to lead. Defeat cannot stop them. Being misunderstood won't slow them. Being reviled won't deter them. There is a mission bigger than themselves that is growing within that requires immense grit to achieve what most think is impossible. Ronald Reagan exemplified that with his life of service. And I, as an American, am very thankful for his leadership. Leadership. More about that word later, since witnessing the first 14 months of Biden's administration, I believe our country needs leadership now, like we did in 1980. I shudder to ask, if it were not for President Reagan's leadership, would that 6-ton piece of the Berlin Wall that's outside this building still be dividing East and West Germany? Would it have taken decades longer to come down? A time for choosing. There is no more fitting theme for this time in American history. As the progressive left attempts to change the very DNA of our country and what it means to be an American, we need to answer a fundamental question Ronald Reagan posed to us in his time for choosing speech. He asked us this question: do we believe in our capacity for self-government, or do we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives better than we can plan them for ourselves? Our nation has had a very challenging and difficult 2 years. We are emerging from a pandemic that cost people their lives, cost others their health, and devastated our economy and further divided our country. In the aftermath, the world emerging is chaotic and full of peril, both at home and abroad. There are threats all around us, seeking to divide us, and in some cases, seeking to destroy what this nation stands for. Under the Biden administration, our weaknesses on the world stage has emboldened enemies like Vladimir Putin to launch an evil genocide against Ukraine. Women and children are being victimized, even targeted. The Reagan doctrine of peace through strength is needed now just like it was during the Cold War. At home, supply chains remain disrupted, the cost of basic necessities are skyrocketing, and our labor force participation rate is not keeping up. People flourish when they have a plan, a purpose, and a paycheck. It's no coincidence that the frustration, the anger, the disillusionment we are experiencing is manifesting itself in rising crime, apathy, and suicide rates, especially in our kids. Americans are losing one of the most inspirational truths we have, which is hope. Hope that things can and will get better. Hope that education and hard work can equal prosperity. Hope that we remain a city on a hill. A shining example of what can be when free people decide to join hands in self-governance. This is not a partisan observation. This is reality. And it is the natural consequence of what failed leadership feels like to the average worker on the average wage in our country. America stands at a crossroads with the potential for a great resetting, a renewal, even a rebirth, when we get to choose how we will meet the potential of today and the promise of tomorrow. Will we step forward with strength and perseverance? Will we redouble our conviction in the power of ideas, or will we shirk back and allow a great nation to be consumed and degraded? Are we still one nation under God? Are we truly indivisible? Is there liberty and justice for all? Or will we allow our differences to further divide us, to further weaken our resolve? Will we, as our critics have warned, extinguish the light of liberty from within? These are difficult questions for us to consider. But when I take a look at the arc of justice and liberty within America's history, I have every reason to hold on to hope. With each and every challenge, our nation's track record is one of strength and unity. Whether it be the Civil War, the Great Depression, the fight against communism, or overcoming racial division, whatever is thrown our way, America has come through time and time again, stronger and more united than ever before. The reason for that is because our nation was founded on truth, and truth never changes. And that's what the conservative movement is all about. Conservatism doesn't flirt with what's easy and alluring. It doesn't tell people what they want to hear, but what they ought to hear, because it is the truth. Our party is a party of Abraham Lincoln, one of strength, endurance, resiliency. It's the party of Ronald Reagan, one of hope, opportunity, and optimism. We have struggled at times to present this message of conservatism with clarity and contrast. We have struggled at times to be messengers for what we know is true and timeless. But if it is indeed the time for choosing, and it is, we have no choice but to lead the world with bravery, resolve, and strength. A strength that comes from the courage of our convictions, from a deep-seated belief in our principles, and from being certain of what is true. Conservatism understands that beliefs and truths do not ebb and flow with election cycles, that our fight is not merely about 2022 and 2024, but it's about our future as a country and therefore the future of the world. And that's why we must endeavor to captivate the hearts and minds of the American people. I know the power of this because when I needed it the most, I experienced it. As a kid growing up in North Charleston, South Carolina, I was raised in a single-parent household, mired in poverty. My parents got divorced when I was 7 years old. We were living on the Air Force Base in Michigan. I was devastated. I felt like my whole world was coming apart. We moved back to North Charleston and in with my grandparents. They lived in a 700-square-foot home, 2 bedrooms. Me, my mom, and brother shared 1 bedroom and 1 room. The house was filled with love, but it was tough. Have you ever had a bad week? Well, I had a bad 7 years. From 7 until 14, I drifted. Now, how many of y'all know that all drifting leads in the wrong direction? I got 1 up there. Okay, 2. Okay. This is a highly educated audience. I like this. I was angry and discouraged. And so in my freshman year, I failed out of high school. I failed 4 subjects. I failed world geography and civics. Now, Civics is the study of politics. I gotta tell you though, after 9 years in the US Senate, I am not the only one failing civics in America.